Hey guys, Mr. Simonini here. This video is about solving using the quadratic formula day 2. So these problems are a little bit more difficult than day 1. Remember we talked about yesterday the quadratic formula is a formula that helps you find the solutions and x-intercepts, which are the x-intercepts. Which are x-intercepts, the roots, the zeros, whatever you want to call them. And remember, the formula I have already written down here. So it's really, really important that you know this. Formula is the opposite of b, so we say negative b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So again, this is really, really important for you to follow. This is a formula that you need to understand in order to solve a quadratic that's in standard form. Now, what is standard form? Remember, standard form is a form of quadratic that has an a, b, and c. As you can see, I have this color-coded. What is with my a is my quadratic term is really important for today's lesson. My b goes with my linear term, or just x, and then my c goes with, is just the regular number, okay, with no x attached to it. Remember, this is extremely, extremely, extremely important rule. A, B, and C must be on the same side. So on today's homework, you're going to do a few problems, and this is how they're going to look like. They're a little bit different than yesterday. But you're doing the same thing. You're solving each equation using the quadratic formula. Now, what I'm going to do so that we have it here, I'm going to cut this so I can just move it down here so I can use it for these questions. All right. So here you go. Again, this is a quadratic formula. This is what I'm following. But remember this rule. This rule says that A, B, and C must be on the same side. If you look here, A, B, and C are not on the same side of the equal sign. Now, since there's more stuff to the right, I'm going to move this to the right. And when you move a term to the right, remember you have to do the opposite of it. So the negative x squared would be plus x squared. Now, you have to be smart. Just a heads up, these cannot combine, negative 10. So these cannot combine with each other because they're not like terms. So you can't just say, oh, that must be negative 9x squared. That's wrong. What you should recognize is x squared, is that my a? Is that my quadratic term that will have my a with it? Is it my linear term, or is it my constant? If you look here, this is going to be your a, right? So where you want to squeeze it in, you don't want to squeeze it in at the end. You want to squeeze it in at the beginning of this. So just to be clear, what's happening here, you have 0, which is what you want on one of the sides, equals, I want to squeeze the x squared in there, and then write the rest of my quadratic, so minus 10x plus 25. Now I have my a, now I have my b, now I have my c. So my a is 1 here, my b is negative 10, my c is 25. Again, really important for you to follow that. Now you just, again, plug and chug in a quadratic formula. So the opposite of b in this case is 10, plus or minus the square root of negative 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 25 all over 2 times 1. Now, remember, in order to don't get caught up in trying to do this calculation in your head. What you can do is use decimals.com. So you go to decimals.com. I'm going to use the scientific calculator. So that's the one I'm clicking on. Hit your fraction bar first, the A over B button. That's right up below the wrench. It's right above the arrow pointing to the right as well. So again, you got to create your fraction first. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. So it'll be 10 plus the square root of negative 10 squared minus 4 times 25 times, what was my, oh wait, my a was 1. Sorry, I'm kind of doing that out of order for AC. Actually, it doesn't matter in the long run, but whatever. Over 2 times my a, which is 1. And as you can see, I get an answer as 5 is one of them. So one of my answers is x equals 5. Or change the plus to a minus. My other answer will be, oh, look, it's the same answer. So it'll be 5 as well. Remember, you can get one answer. It doesn't always have to be 2 answers. You can also get no answers as well. So my only answer here will be x equals 5. So again, my only x-intercept there will be, or my solution will be 5. All right, moving on to number 2. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste my formula real quick because I'm going to bring it down with me. All right, let's go to the next example now. All right, next example. So this looks a little intimidating at first. Do not let it intimidate you. Remember, everything has to be on the same side of the equal sign before you do anything. So if you look here, I have 3 things to the left and 3 terms to the left, 2 terms to the right, and everything is simplified. But I need to move everything to one side. So since there's more stuff on the left, I'm going to move this to the right. So if you look here, I'm going to move this negative 3x squared, and you can also move this at the same time. What's the opposite of minus 6x? Well, that'd be plus 6x. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. But you got to understand, you're going to want to put it underneath the term that it goes with. So x squared should be on top of each other, and my x's should be on top of each other. I have no number I'm subtracting and adding over here. So that's all I need to do. Again, I want 0 on one of the sides. Then this is when, since these are like terms because they have the x squares, this is when you can combine like terms now. So what is 7x squared minus 3x squared, or 7 apples minus 3 apples? Well, that will be 4 apples, or 4x squared. And then negative 25x plus 6x, be careful, it'd be negative 19x. So I'm just combining like terms there. And then I'm just writing the rest. So minus 5 equals, again, everything cancels out over here, so you have 0 on one of your sides, which is what you want. So in this case, my A is 4, my B is negative 19, my C is negative 5. And again, all you do from there is just plug it into the formula. So if you're good at doing this plug-in, chug-in idea, you can just fast forward the video. But if you need help, it'd be x equals the opposite of negative 19, which would be 19, plus or minus the square root of negative 19 squared minus 4 times 4 times negative 5 all over 2 times 4. So again, I'm coming to my calculator now, clear out what I had, a over b, 19 plus the square root of, it was 19, right? Yeah. Negative 19 squared minus 4 times my A was 4, so 4, and then my C was negative 5, all over 2A, which is, in this case is 2 times 4, not 2 times 1. Your A is 4 there, so be careful. So one of my answers, oh, look, I get 5 again. One of my favorite numbers is 5, so I like making 5 one of my answers all the time. So x equals 5, and change the plus to a minus now. And the other answer will be, again, you can put the decimal, but you can hit the button to the right of the answer, and it will change it to a fraction for you. So when you can do that, do that. If you don't do that and give me the decimal, that's fine. But it'll be negative 1 over 4 would be my other answers, or negative 0.25. So there's the answer for that. So again, you got to move everything to one side first, combine like terms where you can, and then you have your area B and C, and then you just plug and chug. All right, with number 3, this one's a little tricky here. Again, you have this 17 on the right side. Notice that we do not have a linear term here. We do not have an x term. That's going to matter. But anyways, we want to move this 17 over. This 17, you can combine it with the 16. So what you do to one side, you must do to the other. Again, the 17s cancel. So this is going to be 36x squared. 16 minus 17 will be minus 1 because you can combine like terms there. And then it equals 0. Be careful here. Be careful. I'm going to keep my quadratic formula right there, actually. My A here is 36 because that's what goes with x squared. There is no x, just plain no x. So that must mean B is 0. B is 0, C is negative 1. Again, one of the biggest mistakes students do, they say, oh, B is negative 1 and C is 0. That's incorrect here because, again, if we look back up here, remember, your B goes with your x, and your C is considered just a number by itself with no x with it. So just keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to come back down here now. All right, go ahead and, again, just do the quadratic formula. Again, it's okay to have B as 0, and your answer is not going to be 0 here, by the way, just to be clear. So B opposite of 0 is just 0, plus or minus the square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 36, because it's my A. And then my C is negative 1, all over 2 times my A, which is 36. Come to my calculator now. Clear this out. be 0 plus the square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 36 times negative 1 all over 2 times 36. And I get one of my, let me just make sure I'm good there. All right, looks good. So one of my answers is 1 over 6. So I will write that down eventually. So 1 over 6 is one of my answers. I'm going to look for my other answer, which is negative 1 over 6. That doesn't always happen, like the opposites of, if you get 1 over 6 and negative 1 over 6 is the other answer. Does not always happen, but in this case it does. It does happen, but understand this does not always happen. But those are my two x-intercepts. Again, if you want to give me the decimals, that's fine. Anyways, your homework problems that you have to do 5 homework problems. 3 of the 5 homework problems are very similar to these 3 problems. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me an email. Again, remember the important rule. Everything must be on the same side in order for you to use the quadratic formula. And remember, the quadratic formula is this guy right here.